everyone, my name is Keely Mary and welcome to my channel. Today I'm filming a reading vlog, but it's not just any reading vlog. I'm actually reading a book that TikTok suggested to me that I've been seeing on my For You page. I actually saw it a couple months ago. I don't know if it's really very popular anymore, but I was very interested to read it. And I also saw a few booktubers reading this as well. So I'm going to be focusing on The Lonely Castle in the Mirror. The cover definitely drew me into this book. So basically, from what I've heard, this book is magical realism. It's a YA book. I'm pretty sure the premise is basically that there are these high school students who are being bullied and they kind of just somehow stumble across this castle in a mirror, where they're basically able to transport themselves into this castle through a mirror. I'm not really sure. I don't know too much about it. I haven't heard any negative reviews so far. I haven't read YA in a while. This is actually my first YA book of this year. Hopefully I will still be able to enjoy this book even though that YA isn't my primary genre. So personally for me, TikTok recommendations tend to be very hit or miss. I either really enjoy them or a lot of them I just haven't really liked that much, albeit I haven't really read that many TikTok books. And a lot of the TikTok books that I have read were books that were also recommended on BookTube or were recommended on BookTube first. So reading this book is kind of going to be a little bit of an experiment in a way to see if I do still enjoy YA. And it's also going to be an experiment about whether or not TikTok can be trusted. So stay tuned to see my thoughts on this one. I should also mention that I will be finishing off The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I only have, I think, about 150 pages left. I was also reading this book in my last reading vlog, and so I think the plan for today is I'm actually going to start The Lonely Castle in the Mirror. I'm really excited to read this one, and then I also probably will bounce back and forth between The Lonely Castle in the Mirror and The Way of Kings. So with that, I'm going to begin reading. So I'm just now doing a little update on my progress so far. So I have now completed The Way of Kings. I have to say I've never felt more accomplished in completing a book for fun than I do right now. It's definitely been a long way coming. I think it took me maybe 2 to 2.5 months to complete it. Granted, it is a large book, so that was kind of expected. And I have now completed about half of The Lonely Castle in the Mirror. First, I'm just going to talk about The Way of Kings a little bit. I did discuss this in a previous reading vlog, but I am just going to talk a little bit about it still. With The Way of Kings, I don't really feel like saying a whole lot about the plot. I feel like it's one of those books that's better going into it not really knowing a whole lot about it. That's kind of how I went into it, and I'm really happy that I did that. So a lot of really what happens is getting to know the world and setting up the main story, and then also like kind of getting to know the characters and their backstories, which to some people that might not sound that interesting, but I personally found it really interesting. I think there is a lot of interesting things that happen, and all the characters, in my opinion, are very likable people. Like, there's no characters that I absolutely hated. For those of you who have read The Way of Kings, obviously you know what happens at the end. Personally, I really wasn't expecting it to go that way. I had kind of my own theories, but I really wasn't expecting that. I kind of don't really know how I feel about it. And honestly, I feel like there's so many questions that I still have, even about like the world, like about some of the elements in the world. And I'm sure as the books go on, there's maybe more details about these things, but it'll probably be a while until I pick up the next book because I'm kind of behind on my reading goal, and my reading goal was quite small. Overall, I would have to give The Way of Kings a 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really good. I can't say that it's like my all-time favorite book, but it was really good and I did really enjoy it. I felt like the world building was very like detailed, and I honestly just really enjoyed the story. I feel like I'm one of those people that when I like a book, like when I really like a book, I can't really explain why, and this kind of feels like one of those moments. So moving along to The Lonely Castle in the Mirror now. I know at the start of the vlog I did say that the students were all in high school, but actually they're all in middle school. Basically these kids all find out one day that they can go inside their mirror and there's this castle awaiting them. There's this little girl in a wolf mask waiting for them who explains to them that they have 1 year in this castle, like to travel back and forth to the castle, not that they're stuck in the castle. But basically they can travel into their mirror to the castle for 1 year. The whole point is that there is a key hidden somewhere in the castle, and the person who finds it unlocks this room, which is called the wishing room. They're able to have one wish granted, and there's a lot about like friendship. It's very interesting to see their friendship develop even at the halfway point. One thing that I do have to say is that a lot of people on TikTok and BookTube, they were kind of advertising this book as kind of like Studio Ghibli vibes, but personally I didn't really feel that too much. There were certain points where I could kind of feel it, but I think I only got those vibes because people said that. If people wouldn't have said that, I probably wouldn't have associated this book with Studio Ghibli at all. I noticed that BookTok often does this thing where they describe books in very inaccurate ways. I am honestly really enjoying the story so far. I do find that I'm not reaching for it as often as I would like, but it is reading very quickly. So like I'm able to get through a lot in a short period of time, but it's just like going and starting to read it is kind of like difficult, if that makes sense. I do like the discussion of mental health so far. Like I think this would be a very good book for somebody who's younger, who's maybe dealing with mental health struggles. It's quite obvious that all of the characters are going through something. A lot of the adults in this book are very understanding about mental health. So that's all of the reading update that I had so far. I am hoping to finish The Lonely Castle in the Mirror within the next few days. I think that's possible. I think also tonight I might do some baking. I might take you guys along. So I have now finished The Lonely Castle in the Mirror, and I'm just going to give my final thoughts on that. So I think overall it was a really good book. I did enjoy it, even though I don't normally read YA. Even though I'm not the intended demographic for this book, I still really empathized with the characters. So I do just want to point out like a quick criticism of TikTok recommendations. In my opinion, a lot of the TikTok recommendations tend to not be the most well-written books. In some cases, they can kind of sound a little bit like a Wattpad book, and I think that's because a lot of them put so much emphasis on the plot and on the shock value of it. However, this book really wasn't like that. I think overall I gave it like 3.5 stars, which for some people might not be that great, but I consider that to be pretty good. That's over halfway still, so that's still a good book. I just don't know if it's one that I would pick up and read again. The ending didn't really go the way that I had hoped to, but I was really happy with the way that it ended. That's really all the thoughts that I have on this one. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. Bye. Ooh. Marvin, no, Marvin, don't do that.